Good evening. Let me get this. There we go. I'm going to start this, and it's just going to scroll through some some photographs while I'm just kind of giving a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to kind of tell a little story from beginning to end, but believe me, I think I can do it in 12 minutes or so. So I work at the Michigan Municipal League. We're the state association for cities and villages, and we've been around 114 years, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Our headquarters are here in Ann Arbor, and we have an advocacy office in Lansing, and then we have one person up in the UP. So we've been, we work with our local government officials. We provide, resources, educational programs, technical assistance, and that type of thing to help them better govern their communities. But several years ago, as you well know, we've been facing, we've had a terrible decade of decline, diminishing funds, and about midway through the decade, we had a change in leadership, and we decided to sort of look at what kind of services we are really providing for our members, and we really feel and felt then that communities were at the core of our economic turnaround, and we wanted to know where that was going to take us. So what we did was we decided to hold several public policy forums, and we invited experts and speakers from all around the country and in the state of Michigan to come and talk to a select audience of our members and, really inform and inspire us about some different ideas of how we can look at moving our communities forward with some new and creative ideas. And ever since that, the public policy forums and all the things we have learned, we have not stopped building from there. So let me just talk a little bit about where we got. Let's see, we're almost at the end here. These are actually photographs from a book that we published about a year and a half ago called The Economics of Place, the value of building communities around people. So anyway, those were some of the photos. Most of them were in Michigan. I think you'd probably recognize the ones that weren't. But anyway, this I think is very old news, but I still think it tells a story from beginning to end the way we were. We all know our quality of life and place has declined. In 2009, we were 37th in per capita income, a drop of 19 places in 8 years, unprecedented decline. Manufacturing, as we know it, is gone, and we know that manufacturing isn't going away. I mean, there's been a resurgence of manufacturing, but it's going to be much smaller, it's going to be leaner, and the jobs, the high-paying jobs with a high school education are just not going to be there. And Michigan's been slow to adapt to the knowledge-based economy. And we've certainly been underinvesting in our universities, our community colleges, and in our infrastructure. And I'm going to be talking a lot about when I say talented millennials. It's not just millennials, because believe me, like Mary Jo said, it is all of us. I mean, I see a lot of boomers out there. I mean, we want exactly what the millennials want, I think. And talented means, college-educated millennials. College-educated millennials. And also, we haven't really fostered an entrepreneurial environment in the state. So anyway, the way we were. And what we know, and again, I'm going to be really repeating and emphasizing a little bit, but our knowledge-based global economy, this is really interesting, I think, because, we've become so much more global, but actually we're so hyper-local now, so we've got this global economy, but now we're really focusing on our communities. We've got, we're focused on growing our own local food, the food movement. I think Local First is going to be talking, buying local, growing local jobs. So it's really kind of an irony, but it makes sense. We know education counts, degrees matter. Technology allows people to work anywhere, and they want to work in cities. I mean, when you think about it, we always thought people thought they could go to a mountaintop and work, and they want to be sitting right next to the person they're communicating with on their computer. That's where they want to be. We have a very mobile population. And we do know that place attracts people. Young people are choosing where to live first. There's actually a survey that was done just a few years ago, and it showed that like 2/3 of the college grads that leave Michigan, they don't have a job. And my two daughters, Chicago and Portland, Oregon, and I'm trying to get them back. So a worldwide competition for talent. We used to compete with maybe neighboring communities and in the state and other states, but now it's a worldwide competition for talent. This, to me, says it all, and you may have heard this quote, Rick Carlgard, the publisher of Forbes, "The most valuable resource in the 21st century is brains. Smart people tend to be mobile, watch where they go, because where they go, robust economic activity will follow." So again, a little more bad news. Not done with that yet. Decade of higher education cuts, 27%. We're only starting to see a little bit of a turnaround now in the budget this year. And 46% of our graduates are leaving Michigan. And we know the majority of them are going to Chicago, but they're also going, to Denver, Minneapolis, Seattle. They're going to the places where they're finding the things they want, and they're not finding them here. And what they want is an urban style life. They want density, they want walkability, they want transit options, and they're going where they can find that. And this is so different from a generation ago. You went wherever the job was. So. And this is interesting too, because you can see we're becoming an older population, 21 to 34-year-olds. This is how we rank nationally, little over 17% versus 19% nationally. So we're losing our young people. Shifting demographics are going to have a huge impact on the way we live and create our communities. We know that this woman probably doesn't want a car, and there are some very interesting statistics on that. I was actually just reading today that in 2008, they were saying that 31% of 16-year-olds had a driver's license, 49% of 17-year-olds. I mean, when I was 16, everybody got a driver's license, and that's, we really needed it because we weren't, everything was so spread out and that type of thing, but they're going to the places where they don't have to have a car and where they don't have to drive. You also have less than 25% of households are considered traditional now. So that's, mom and dad and kids living under one roof. But here's an interesting statistic. Automotive miles driven by ages 21 to 30, only 13.7% now versus almost 21% in 1995. So you can really see it's declining, and my guess is it's going to continue to go down. 24 to 34-year-olds. In 1980, you've got the business district is really kind of defined urban area with about a 3-mile radius, and so you can see that's 10%. In 2010, a third were choosing to live in these type of places. Business district. So I got to talk about sense of place, and I can't do that without. Lighter, quicker, cheaper is something that Fred Kent has been promoting for a lot of years, public spaces, because this is really down to now the placemaking at the local level. This is again back to hyper. This is really hyper local. He says placemaking very simple. I mean, there's probably this is so many definitions of placemaking. Citizens are the experts. You're putting responsibility back on the experts. Placemaking is about turning a neighborhood, town, or city from a place you can't wait to get through into one you never want to leave. Every community has them. We know Ann Arbor does. You know what you like. We use that to our best. The difference between great cities and good cities for good reason. Of their public but lighter, quicker, cheaper, flexible yet sustainable. Use drives the design. But look at this, and this is a northern community, and I can't remember what city that was. But there you go. You put out a bench, and all of a sudden it creates people sitting outside with an ice cream. How simple is that? That's a lighter, quicker, cheaper type thing. Putting down a little piece of carpet and a couple pieces of a band. There you go, lighter, quicker, cheaper. And who knows, that might turn into something much more, that animates that space, and it might turn into something much more, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to look for here, but anyway, it may be something more permanent. So I have to put this, we love this picture, and it's just perfect because Paul's sitting right in the audience here. But this to us says everything, Zingerman's in Ann Arbor. You look at that where those picnic tables are placed right up to the curb, and you know that was not a planner that designed that. You know, I mean, this is what people want. And you know, you can do that because you've got a brick road, which slows down the traffic, and you've got some angled parking. So it's not like people are blasting through there, but those people feel very comfortable sitting there. And that's just sort of this organically grown placemaking. You just put out some picnic tables and people gather, and in the summer, I know it's always full. So I think this is a great example of showing how important it is, you know, to listen to what what your residents, what your citizens want. And, you know, you build your communities around what they need and give them that emotional connection. I just stuck this in there because I think when we talk about placemaking, we talk about the placemaking in our communities, that it's extremely important to remember that we've got to think regionally. You know, placemaking, it does take place in your community, but you've got to, you know, certainly transit, you've got to think of regionally, but economies are regional, and, you know, particularly some of our, you know, Michigan's made up of 80% of very small communities, and, you know, they're not going to have all these assets that are going to have people attracted to live there, maybe in that community, but you look at the whole region, what is the region offering, and then people, you know, people identify with that. So I think it's just important that we keep that in mind. I told you, I'm actually almost done, but I told you about the public policy forums. Following those, a few years ago, the League started the Center for 21st Century Communities, or what we refer to affectionately as 21C3. And out of this, we identified what we think are 8 key critical assets that go into making a community very vibrant. And the physical design and walkability, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Green initiatives, extremely important. I mean, it's important for our natural resources, our quality of life, and it's certainly our financial bottom line. Cultural economic development, investing in our arts and culture. I mean, that's the soul of a community, and that's what really defines, I think, the different communities. You know, it's very unique to the communities. Entrepreneurship, growing our businesses, you know, growing our jobs by ones and twos and not chasing after that, you know, big 2,000, bring in 2,000 employees. If you can do that, that's great, but don't count on them necessarily staying forever. You've got to have people invested in your communities. Messaging and technology, you've got to be able to be connected anywhere. Multiculturalism, you know, you want a diverse population. They bring different disciplines and ideas and new creative ideas to your community. Transit, I mean, you know, I don't anticipate we're going to have light rail down Main Street of Ann Arbor, but, you know, that goes back to the regional talk about having you know, Detroit. I mean, you know, all our eyes should be on Detroit, because it's not only going to be good for us, you know, because we're really in that metro region, but it's going to, the whole state depends on them succeeding, Detroit succeeding. I absolutely think it will. There's some terrific things going on down there, but certainly the rail line that's going in, the light rail line, is great news. But we also are talking bike lanes and bike paths and other, you know, other types of transit, and Ann Arbor does a great job of that. And again, there's your education. You know, we really say it's important to invest in K through 16, but right now we seem a little more focused on higher ed. And finally, path to prosperity. You might have heard this. Those words are right out of Lou Glazer. He's an Ann Arborite and CEO and president of Michigan Futures, Inc., and we work very, very closely with him and get a lot of our research from him. And, you know, these are what we've come out of it, and that is bold leadership. And I don't mean just leadership from the local government perspective necessarily. It means bold leadership in the community as well, because, you know, sometimes it only takes one person to be a catalyst. We have seen that in so many communities that, you know, one person wasn't afraid to try something and they weren't afraid to fail. I think that's the key. Obviously, a global understanding of where we fit, where Michigan fits into this global knowledge-based economy. Again, higher education investment, you know, keep creating and investing in our communities at the local level, but keep in mind that it's very, very important for a regional focus. So that's it. Did I do it in time? Yay. All right, so questions later, I guess. Thank you.